Jesus said, I am the gate of life. He who entereth through me entereth into life. So, what have we read here so far? We know that he's called the law and the logos. So, the logos is the gate of life. The law, I believe, if it's understood properly, is the gate of life. The word itself is a gate. The voice of God is itself a gate. It just has to do with will you enter or not. See, he says he's the gate of life. So we've already talked about death. It is whosoever will not hear that prophet shall die. In other words, they won't discern the hidden mystery. They won't discern the threefold revelation. They won't discern all the things that were passed on to us. They won't hear him speaking in the prophets, and therefore they're going to die spiritually. They're going to live according to the flesh, but that is to die spiritually. So again, if he is the gate of life, in other words, by hearing him properly, you enter into life. Again, he goes on, I am the true gate. Again, just reinforcing that there are false gates and there are true gates. There, again, narrow is the way that leads to the gate of the kingdom, but broad is the pathway to destruction. So again, to get through this gate, you have to get to the truth. That is to say, the truth of the logos, the truth of the revelation, the true mystery, the fullness, if you will, of the revelation, the fullness, if you will, of the scriptures in that dispensation. I knock, and if any man openeth for me, we shall enter in for him, I and my Father, and we shall make our home with him. So he is the gate, and yet he knocks. He knocks at your gate. So the key is that you have to align yourself in your gate, if you will, to his truth and his gate. So when you come together, I guess, through the same gate, through the same pathway, through the same entrance, if you will, you're on the same page. Then you enter into the truth. And he is reaching out to you. It says here, he's trying to reach you. He's trying to find you, because one who's knocking is actively seeking, an audience with you, let's say. So if any man openeth for me, we shall enter in for him. So again, if you hear his voice, if you hear the secret language, in other words, if you hear the logos, again, you have to kind of think about what's meant by I. The logos knocks. The Savior knocks. He's there to save you. The way knocks, that is to say, the way of life, or whatever that comes from walking with God. The truth of life, the truth knocks, and if you open for the truth, right, then both he and the Father, that is to say, the truth of the higher level meaning in the New Testament, will agree with the truth of the higher level meaning in the Old Testament. Again, in the Gospel of Truth, he talks about the Father. The name of the Father is the hidden mystery. So in other words, he and the hidden mystery will come and make their home with you. So in other words, if you're able to read between the lines and sort of understand what's going on, with the scriptures, what he's revealing right here and right now before the whole world, when the whole world can not only see it, but it can be translated and promulgated everywhere and anywhere here at the end of time, then again, the whole world can open up for him. The whole world can enter in, have them enter in to them, and they can come to be in touch with the mysteries of the Old and the New Testament, and receive the Third Testament. He says, I am near thee like the clothes of thy body. Now, clothes, it generally refers to occupation, and then specifically the priestly robes, let's say, the clothes, if you will, of religion. In Jude it talks about despise even the clothes that are stained by the flesh. Again, that would just have to do with fleshly religion. But in this sense, he's talking about the way in which you're basically immersed in his presence, that he literally is in and around you, that he's literally like the air around you or the clothes around you. But in other words, he's ready to clothe you with a new garment. if you will. If you'll open up to the truth, if you'll open up to the way, the truth, the life, if you'll open up to the logos, if you'll do all that, then you're going to be clothed in the bride chamber. And again, the bride chamber is something that's spoken of extensively in the Gospel of Thomas, which is why I'm starting on this first, because it sort of lays the groundwork for understanding that particular gospel, just as the gospel of truth sort of lays the groundwork for understanding the scattered words, because he talks about, how the truth lies scattered and we lie scattered. And, it talks about this phenomenon of seeing everything come together, if you will, in the truth and in the one and in a unitary thought. So once you grasp that and you start, like I said, reading between the lines here and understanding that. Okay, and again, this is a different source. I mean, now these books influenced each other, but again, just bear that in mind. You're seeing source after source after source, all kind of agreeing and saying the same thing. And, these various quotes from these books are kind of, tying things together. So my bride chamber is ready. But blessed is he who has been found in it wearing the shining garment. Well, what is the shining garment? We just got through reading that. I am near to thee like the clothes of the body. So he himself is the shining garment. So not only is he going to make his home with us, he's going to make himself us, if you will. So that's the bride chamber. That's the marriage, is when you and he and you and we and all that become knitted together in the spirit, and we transform. Again, death is swallowed up by life. The falsehood, the error dissipates. The division goes away, and everything is unitary, just like you're seeing with your own two eyes here. What is before you, if you just marvel at it. But it is he who receives the crown upon his head. Again, we saw this transformation with Stephen as he was being stoned. He stood before the council, and Paul, Paul the apostle, was there, and he was consenting even to the point of after his stoning and having his clothes laid before him. But we saw Stephen undergoing the transformation into his angelic nature. And this was why he presumably had to be the first martyr. I mean, Satan cannot stand in the face of people who literally have angelic natures. People will notice that. It will be obvious to people that there's something different about somebody who's basically an angelic in form and nature. So you got to put an end to that. So this is why Paul is also the last and the least, because all these people saw that. You know what I'm saying? And they killed him anyway. But again, that was to show us what we would then become. So at some point, death is going to be swallowed up by life, and that we will all be transformed. And like it says in the ascension of Isaiah, that our spirits will turn upward. Then we will be one with the Father. The Father will condescend and come down to us and make his home with us, knocking at our door and making our home with us. Draping himself around us as if he was a garment, making us one with himself, and becoming, if you will, angelic in nature. And your experience of it is, one is near him, he will burn. He says, I am the blazing fire. One who is near to me is near to the fire, and one who is far from me is far from life. So it kind of rounds out here at the end, and it makes sense when you see that. Starts out with, I am the gate of life. He who entereth through me entereth into life. He is the true gate. That is, through the truth, through the word, through the logos, through the transformation. He's reaching out to you. All you got to do is open for him, as you're hearing this. And if you really kind of see the truth of what is being said, I mean, how do these words hang together and tell you this? And why are we only seeing it now? It's because it was held back for us in our day as a third revelation, the one that's going to lead us into truth. And he and his Father, that is to say, the mysteries and the dispensations, will all make our home, their home with us. That is to say that we will become one with him and his thoughts. We will become like him. For again, we will see him as he is, that he is near to us, he surrounds us, he's all within us. And we unite in the bride chamber, um, and our natures change and we become angelic. Um, and that is essentially what the life is. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And like it said before, he came from the Father and he is here.